No idea why the player I use called Pulsar does that. Starts it 2 or 3 times. But anyway, hello and welcome to today's episode of Velocity Kinetics. It is Sunday the 20th of July. And it's been quite a while since I've done any sort of recording. Why has it been a while? Well, to be honest, Sarah and I have had a lot of stuff on our to-do lists. I'm just realising I'm going to slide that down a bit, because I think that's going to fall off if it stays there. Apologies if this thing I'm touching now, the sort of mic cover, comes off. It keeps coming off, and I don't know why. I have no idea if it affects the audio, because I can't tell in the edits when it's happened before. I can't tell when it's happened, so I can't tell when to listen for any sort of change to the audio. But there we are. So it's been a while. Sarah and I have had a lot of things on our to-do list recently, and it's been, well, it's just been hard to have time to do anything, and if we're not careful, we're not going to have time for ourselves either. We've been going through something quite challenging recently, not like relationship or anything like that problem, but it's been a very challenging process. We've recently been very badly let down by it, so we're considering what our options are, and we'll go from there accordingly. But you're not here to listen to my gripes about that. So trying to think about some car related stuff to talk about. YouTube front, we haven't done much recently, or I haven't done much recently. Just not had enough time to do much. In the world of cars, it's a bit odd at the moment, because everything sort of going, I'd say in the world of cars, it's sort of, there's a weird stagnation happening, at least from my seat, should I say. I won't say whether there is or isn't. I think there's a weird stagnation going on. We've got the age-old internal combustion versus electric, or rather what feels like age-old debate there going on, and whether you should or shouldn't go to whichever one, and whichever one you do go for, should you have gone for the other one, and Vicky Verky. There's just not an awful lot, in my mind, there's just not an awful lot happening. But I think for me the main problem is, for a lot of people, that it's just too expensive now. I was talking to my uncle the other day at my parents', it was my parents' 40th wedding anniversary, a couple of weeks ago. And I was talking to my uncle, because he's a Mondeo man, and there is no Ford Mondeo. And yes, there is a video still going on about what car would be in every man's car, and it's just proven a bit harder to research than I'd like. But I am still trying to work on that, so that might be another video. It's months or a year or more in the making. But he was saying he doesn't, because there isn't a new Mondi around, he doesn't know what to get. If he's going to get anything, that Mondi's got is about 12, 13 years old, and he's also of the, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality. And I agree, especially as there's no adequate replacement for a Mondi these days. But I was saying to him, because he was asking, well, this Honda must have set me back a pretty penny, and I was like, well, yes and no. As in, yes, it was expensive, because cars are expensive, but in terms of what a new Civic would cost these days, it's really not. And when we were talking, I said, well, he was like, well, so how much would a new Civic cost these days? So I said, well, actually, from what I've seen, the sticker seems to be hovering around the 40 mark. Like, you what? I'm like, yeah, about 40 grand for one. and he understandably couldn't wrap his head around that a Honda Civic was that expensive. And I think we're now starting to see the price of. I think we're now starting to see the price of corporate greed into the equation, because a Civic shouldn't cost that much. If it was under the Accord badge, then sure. But for how much they want for a new Civic these days, it's just mental. You'd rather spend a tiny bit more and go get a BMW or an Audi, because I was saying to my parents yesterday when I saw them, it's like, if I told you I spent £40,000 on a Honda Civic, you'd tell me I'm an absolute tool for doing so. So have you been had? You sure they didn't just mug you? Whereas if I said, I spent £40,000 on an Audi, like, well done, it was an A4, ooh, very nice. And it's not just coming from, and this isn't just me coming from I'd like to buy something new and I can't afford something new perspective, because I'm thinking for myself, not quite my days of buying cars are done, but my days of buying a new car as frequently as I had been are certainly done. And that's mostly down to price. Everything's too expensive, but the whole thing is just maddening. Look, don't get me wrong, there's some brands that will always cost more, your Audis, your BMWs, your Volvos, that sort of thing. But when what used to be good alternatives like the Japanese, a Mazda, a Honda, or even where the hell is that Beamer was not slowing down. I hate this roundabout. This used to be a double mini roundabout years ago, and it was terrible. I hated doing it on my driving lessons. I hated doing it on my driving tests. And now people just straight line the roundabout. They come at it at full speed, and then this bit I'm driving up now, I can't remember what the road's called, but you'll get to the basically come out opposite the cattle market in what used to be the cattle market. For years this was a 40 or a 50 mile an hour, but for even longer, at least in my lifetime, it's been a 30, but people still fly up and down it like it's the old 40, 50 mile an hour speed limit. And that's just maddening to me, whatever way you wish to however you wish to describe it. And there is something else sort of car related on that front I want to discuss in just a second. But yeah, some cars will always cost more because they command a premium. That's it. But even cars that shouldn't command a premium, like I said, the Japanese alternatives or the French alternatives, they're not as cheap as they used to be either. And I could understand. It's not like the alternatives have suddenly pulled a blinder and they're suddenly the ones to go for. As in, like, yeah, you could buy, I don't know, just using the 508 as an example. The 508 suddenly pulling an absolute blinder, driving better than a BMW, coming better equipped than a BMW, and so on, sort of being the one that tears up the rule book and rewrites it and what have you. If that was the case, then sure, absolutely command the price for it, because they've done the graft to make it cost that much. But when they haven't, and it does cost as much, it's infuriating. And then you'll hear economists talk about how many new cars get bought and things. And how there's just not as many being bought, and it's one of those things. It's like, well, people's pay isn't going up with the rate of inflation. That's been a thing for years. That's not a new thing. That is unfortunately become the accepted norm for what have you. or people's pay goes up, but then their bills go up more than their pay went up, so technically they're eternally in a pay cut. Or business is a lot more aggressive, like the company I work for is now being taken over, meant to be being taken over by another one, and now I don't know whether I don't even know whether by the end of the year I'm still going to have a job, and everyone's being very cagey about it, which, you know, if they don't know, they don't know, and I can't force them to give me an answer to something that they don't know themselves. But at the same time, it's like, you know, this is impossible to plan. And as I drive around at the moment, just generally sort of looking out, I don't see very many new cars anymore. And then when I do see a new car, when you then look at the age of the person behind the wheel, they are not normally someone my age or younger. I am unfortunately 35, so maybe I'm starting to have, maybe this is the start of some sort of midlife crisis. But if you look, actually maybe we'll go into one of the new builds and developments and we'll see how many we've got. But just as I'm driving on, that 1 Series is a 62 plate. What's coming up here? Is this a Tygo? No, it's a T-Rock, 18 plate T-Rock, 108 on a 57 plate. What we got here is a Nissan Leaf, 23 plate, getting a bit newer, but it's still not new enough. Merc, 17, Discovery, 17, Peugeot, 20, Nissan Truck, 66, Kia, 71, Mitsubishi, 62, Kumquat, oh no, it's a Duke, and it's on a 25. But there were times where some of the new plates, I'd probably say since maybe 2023, maybe the last time that this sort of happened, and I'm actually just realised I'm not in the right position for what I was wanting to do. Right, let's see if we can correct it on the roundabout with a bit of speed. There are times, that's out on a 17, there are times where new cars on new plates were prolific. You couldn't seemingly turn the corner without it. What's this? Another Peugeot 66, BMW 66, Volvo 23, Kia 21. You see the point I'm driving at? There's just not many around, and it's not a case of, well, you know, you're living in the wrong part of the country for it. Even when I lived in poorer parts of the country, Middlesbrough and South Shields, when the new plates came out, there were quite a lot of new cars on the new plates. Bury St Edmunds, by comparison, is actually quite well off. So this Audi, that's a private plate, don't know. 24 plate Toyota. I think it was an A1 though, so what? That can't be that shape. Maybe a 19? Older style Civic, and I can just tell by the headlights it's a 17 plate. Right, we're going to go into this new build on Marham Park. Let's get a bit nebby, shall we? For those people who don't know nebby, no, it's not the RE teacher at SGS, at least I don't think it's him anymore, but that was where I first heard the term nebby, because it was an insult to the man who perhaps didn't command the most respect. Right, let's have a look. So over here, what we got here, we got a Jetta 64, CRV 14, a Civic, probably also on a 14 looking at the shape, 4KA 66, Transit 16, Lexus 66, Mercedes 16. Can't see through. Audi e-tron 21 at TT. Just pull that out of my head, you won't be able to see. It's a different plate. What the hell is that? JQ on a 25, Swift on a 21, S-Reg Mackinnon Evo 6. 73. Focus, that's on an old plate. Mazda 6 on a 54. Seat on a 73. Vitara on a different one. Didn't quite see it. Merc on a 10. Duke on a 22. Now you see this is a relatively new build area, so you would expect there to be a bit more money around, and there just doesn't seem to be. Now I appreciate this isn't factoring in people who may have private plates, but you can't put a plate, when you've got a private plate or a vanity plate, whatever the way you wish to describe it as, you can't put a new plate on an old car. You're just not allowed to do it. Right, what have we got over here? 73 plate Jag, 73 plate Beamer. It's coming this way. It's a Mercedes B-Class. 18 plate, 56 plate Fiesta. Now don't get me wrong, maybe some of it is also because cars are just built a lot better and they don't need to be replaced as often. But and I know always a new car is always a luxury.
It's time for Suffolk's travel news. There's a 2-car accident in the Chantry area of Ipswich on Shepherd Drive. Police are in attendance, causing delays back on.
Go away. I have the traffic alerts on in this car, and it's just whatever. But you see the point I'm trying to drive at. If some economists are going to use new cars as the way to demonstrate how much economy is growing or not, there's I'm not expecting there to be fleets and fleets and fleets of brand new plate vehicles, because that's just not possible. But it's also a major case of, but what the hell? It's also a case of, well, what the hell do you want? We can't use that as a valid measure. Actually, we're going to just pull up to this Volvo dealership and see what we've got in the back here. Ooh. This is my parents have bought tons of cars. Never. Wow. I didn't know there was a Morgan dealership down here. That is new to me. It's completely new to me. Wow. Also had a couple of Dodges parked there as well. There's a make that I didn't recognise it, a microcar. A Microlino. Good grief. Caterham, Morgan. Wow. But anyway, we're going to just neb up on the Volvo dealership just here. And again, Volvo, you'd expect more, even with the Polestar tie-in. We've got a 25 plate Polestar and a 74 plate Polestar. Got a 66 plate V40, 63 plate XC60. Got a very old style S40, like one of the original ones. I can tell that by the wheels. C70 on a 59 plate. You know, how, even with a big brand like that, they seem to be 23 plate Polestar in there as well. I would love one though. I really would love a Volvo. I've got stuff to get on with as well. But yeah, that's just a quick thought on. That's just some of my thoughts on the whole new car market at the moment. I think the fundamental problem is they're overpriced for what they are. I think they're overpriced for what they are, and I know some people would say, well, that's why you should never buy new and so on. Like, maybe you've got an argument there, but for those people who do like a new car, and there is something nice about you being the first owner and what have you, especially if you've been years trying to save up or you're jumping up. So, I can compare when I bought my Swace. It's the sensation of buying that was probably like when I bought my Swift or my Baleno, as in it was the next thing up, and it was nice to have that new car feeling. Because when I bought my second Baleno, it was just more cold hard practicality more than anything. I don't know how to fix it, because the other problem is, whilst we can sit here and talk economics, the other thing is, I suppose, we don't actually know what the profit margins are on a lot of the new cars. The dealer I bought this Honda from said, well, there's not a lot of money in used cars these days, and it's one of those things. It's like, I'm sat there trying not to go, you're charging me probably nearly as much as the old man who bought it years ago, brand new. You're probably charging me nearly as much as he was charged originally, or at least alarmingly close. I've seen Balenos go on John Banks' website for the price that I paid for mine brand new. You know, it's a bit bloody ridiculous, and I can't wrap my head around it. And I wish it was easier to understand. I know a new car, or buying anything of sort of that level of expense in general, all depends on your own financial position at the time, or you know, how well you've been doing at work, whether you've had your expected pay rise or what have you, and also depends on your own other commitments. Has your mortgage gone up? Have you had another child? Have you had a big vet's bill? Have you had to pay out lots and other expenses? So you know, it's never a new car. And don't get me wrong, buying a new car has never been easy. Never. But I would say it is probably now at its most difficult it has ever been. God, don't get this gearbox. 5,000 RPM, it shifts up. But then when you get into fourth, it runs out of puck. It's like there's a big gap in the torque. Was it just starting to rain and I'm catching because I'm doing dual carriageway speeds? Don't know. It's never been easy, but I would argue the last couple of years it has never been more difficult. And things like PCP, personal contract purchase, fantastic way to get people to get a car. Unfortunately, you have to question the fact that such a scheme has to exist in the first place is more indicative of a system that's wrong. Not that we're trying to get you into debt to get a new car or what have you, just sort of why such a scheme exists in the first place. But that's just my thought. So I hope I haven't just word vomited on all that. That wasn't my intention to, but I hope I've tried to illustrate my thoughts, concerns, what have you, on the new car market at the moment. It's bizarre. Although that said, the trade-off is it's probably never been a better time to buy a nearly new car. Probably never been a better time to get something on a year or two old plate and have a decent service history on it and get decent options list with it too. I know I'm actually going to be doing mostly dual carriageway driving today, rather than my usual fling it around the country roads. Don't know. Where I need to go, I can't really. I can take country roads to it, but they're tiny and some of them almost feel more like driveways. You're driving down and there's grass all over them. It's like, am I even meant to be down here if I missed a private road sign? But on to something else, and it's going to sound very old man, and it will come back round to am I having a midlife crisis sort of thing? Am I going to be doing a damn kids, get off my property sort of mentality? I don't know why, whether I've just paid more attention to it recently, or whether I've been on the receiving end of it. People these days can't park for toffee. They just can't. I was in St Andrew Street car park yesterday doing my usual Saturday morning shop in the town. And St Andrew Street car park has the bays are sort of on 45-ish degrees. They're angled. When I parked and walked up the car park, I counted 4 bays that were completely out of use, as in because someone had parked so badly and hadn't straightened up that unless you're in something like a little smart car, you're not getting into the bay next to them. So 4 places where someone has taken up two spaces. And I got to the top of the car park, some absolute spanner had parked in the bays straight. So again, actually there was 5 that I counted. But I've noticed that more and more often that people look. No one likes parking. No one gets in the car going, oh yeah, I get to park. No one is jumping in the car, doing that. The only time anyone is happy to park is if you've been on a very long journey and you're in desperate need of the toilet and you finally pulled into the services and it's like, oh, Niagara Falls sort of moment. Or if it's just been a hellish journey, you've come to the end of it, and that's probably the only time you're happy to park. But even then, you're probably not doing as good a job if it had been a slightly more stress-free journey. So, what is up with it? And there's also, what's also annoying is it's not like it's a certain brand, so it's not like you can say, oh, they're people who drive or park. I'm just going to say Mercedes because I'm just overtaking a Mercedes at the moment. But say, for instance, it's not like you could say, oh, it's all Mercedes, so all Mercedes drivers can't park for toffee. They're crap. It's everyone and everything and everywhere. And sometimes what's more concerning, some of it is newer cars that have got reversing cameras on to make the job easier. Some of them, at least on appearances, appear to have the radar on the bumpers, the parking sensors, that's the word I was looking for. Some of them appear to have, oh god, it smells like burst drains. it's not like it's just, you know, you got, what's annoying is when it's newer cars, it's like you've more than likely got more technology on there to get it right, and you've got it wrong. Now, don't get me wrong though, I have to think that car parks are still designed with a mentality that cars are still small. They're designed, I think a lot of them are still designed that the biggest cars on the road would be your Volvo 240, 740, 760, 940. Did they do a 960? I don't think they did. Or early V70 or 850. You know, just using the Volvo range as an example, that sort of size car was the biggest car that would be ever going into the car park. But that is not the case anymore. Some of your mid-size saloons and estates are bigger than those, and even then, it's not just the saloons and estates, it's the SUV element of it. Because to make them look rough and tough, they've got the bigger, bulkier design on them. I mean, you just need to look at a Duke. You squatted that down to a normal hatchback height, it would look all out of proportion. Whereas actually, if you didn't know there were more roadworks down here. A bit of engine braking going. Brother reckon there was some speed cameras up here. I'd like to currently maintain my 10-year free. I overtook that Mercedes, it just overtook me just then, and he's now only just putting on his stoppers for, no he's not, he's still going. But things like that 2008 that just passed me, that's bigger and bulkier than its hatchback cousin 208, which actually has just also overtaken me. So of course it's going to make car park spaces are going to be a tiny bit awkward. And I think that it's a double-edged sword. People aren't parking properly, but cars have gotten that much bigger and people haven't adjusted their sense of dimensions to match. That said, it is hard to get used to, and I would say, for instance, for me with this Civic Saloon and my Swace, they're both about the same length nose to tail, but this car feels wider, and not just a little wider, it feels quite a lot wider. So there are some points where I'm trying to park it and it just doesn't feel right. But like I said, it's not an excuse for someone just to. How hard is it to double check that someone can park next to you? The only time I am deliberately not fully in the space is when I'm on the end of a line and it's a hard end. Let's say, for instance, goes into. Just trying to think where I can explain. Where it's like a corner of the car park, basically, where spaces end that way, spaces end that way, and there's sort of like a weird pavement there. That's the only time I sort of go. I'm not really that central. I'll exercise my right to go a bit wide. But even then, that's not taken as a given, and I'm not stupidly like rubbing up one side of the space and having masses of gap to the other. Just sort of I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's just me, maybe it's the old man in me sort of just getting annoyed with things, but I can't explain it properly. The other thing as well as I noticed, a lot of people will drive the wrong way round a car park, despite it being clearly annotated what direction you need to be travelling. No, just keep going. They'll drive down the area, it's just like, well, it's just a car park. It's like people are trying to get in and out of spaces, walk across the car park, trying to follow the correct rules of the road. and you're trying to go the wrong way, which is then making everything a lot more painful. I don't know. It just winds me the hell up. Anyway, try and not talk about old man stuff. The Formula One, we're in a bit of a break before Spa. Fantastic to see Hulkenberg break his podium duck. I was seriously worried that it was never going to happen, and I think that's the first podium for Sauber since Kobayashi. I want to say Kobayashi and Suzuka. It's been that long for Sauber. I know Valtteri got very close when under the Alfa Romeo Sauber days, but bloody good job, and proof that you just need to be in the right place at the right time in Formula One, as in in the race. You need to be in the right place at the right time to maximise the strategy. The Williams, there's a lot being made about Sainz's difficulty transitioning to the Williams, but he's also gone from a top flight car to one of the worst. So of course it's going to be hard. It's going to be a bit like Danny Ric going from Red Bull to Renault. He had a hard time driving the Renault initially because he'd been used to having such fantastic braking and sensation through the Red Bull. That said, Sainz, he's on board. I think a lot of people are trying to make a story out of nothing. I'm getting a bit fed up of people. It's going to be weird hearing me defend Lewis Hamilton, but I'm getting a bit fed up of people damning his Ferrari move and saying, "Oh, it's not gone to plan. It's not this. It's not that." It's the end of a rule. It's at the end of a rules cycle. So yes, Ferrari should have gotten on top of it, especially as considering at the start of the rules cycle they did look like the team to beat, and briefly they were. But the man's been powered by Mercedes his entire career, so if nothing else, he's got to get used to how the Ferrari engine, just the internal combustion engine responds. He's got to get used to the gearbox. He's got to get used to how its hybrid system picks up or doesn't pick up, depending on how well made it is or isn't. You see what I mean? It's not that clear. It's not that straightforward as people like to make it out to be. What's going to happen with Verstappen at the moment, I don't know. Very weird to see Horner ousted. But some of the rumours I've read from F1 Oversteer and the Judge 13 pages that I've been reading, some of it implies that it's because the engine division is not doing very well, and the Ford partnership isn't going as well as it should. So Red Bull are just concerned they're not going to be very successful. Even if they nail the chassis, the engine's going to be a problem. I don't know. I'm surprised. It's a double-edged sword. I'm surprised Horner has been ousted. But given all the other times he could have and should have been, if it had been any other team, apart from maybe Williams, if it had been any other team, he probably would have been moved on. Come on. Stupid thing. So it's a hill and it's a stone market. No matter how hard I go on the brakes, it's quite steep. The car just wants to keep moving. Any other team, he probably would have been ousted years ago. Say, for instance, during their slump, just after getting Max was the problem. They just couldn't nail the rules with the car that they had at the time. There's talk that Max is going to head off to. Hey, that's my colleague. An old colleague of mine. Seen her for months, years actually. 2 old colleagues I've seen in 2 days. there too. Fantabulous. But yeah, people are trying to make a mountain out of a molehill in this situation, and it's just tiring. So very tiring. I'll take this space, I think. So, right, I've gotten to where I want to be, so as I park up, I apologise if this has been a more ranty, rambly, even less structured Swacecast than it normally is. Just not been in the right headspace, and I'm just trying to see if doing this will actually kick me back into the right headspace. Who knows? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But drive safe, look after yourselves. Stay safe in this heat, because it's mental. I think I've broken a 35-year streak of no sunburn, which is quite something. I don't know when the next video will be out, because, as I say, Sarah and I have got a lot of things we need to do, and if nothing else, we just need some time for ourselves, because at the moment we don't really get an awful lot of time to do what we want. So we'll see you. I guess I'll see you when I see you.